What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? It's 420 in California. This is Reefer Revolution Live.
But I think in terms of marijuana, and legalization, I think that should be a state issue, state by state. I think it's up to the states, yeah. I'm a states person. I think it should be up to the states, absolutely. You know, I know people that are very, very sick, and for whatever reason, the marijuana really helps them.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Well, the good people of the Cannabis Caucus are at it again. Brett Blumenauer really wants to export all that extra Oregon cannabis. And Mitch McConnell gets a big dose of CBD from the FDA. Illinois seems to be doing it right with legalization, including 800,000 expungements, while Oklahoma reaches 1 year with the best little medical marijuana law in the country. And the only talk of cannabis in the Dem debates was Frackenlooper taking credit for legal cannabis in Colorado. I guess now he's all in on cannabis now, like that other lifelong prohibitionist. What's his name?
I'm all in. This is the time to go all in on cannabis.
Ah, yes, John Boehner and all the people over at BTV, the Cannabis Media Network, are all in. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? It is indeed 420, and this is Reefer Revolution Live, the show where we spark up. Re-spark up. Talk about marijuana in the mainstream media, the politics of pot, and cannabis cures. And when I say we, I mean not only me and everybody jumping in the chat, but my partner in all things cannabis and life, Coach Chela.
Hey, everybody.
All right.
Hi.
Coach Chela, hello. Happy Sunday.
Thank you. You as well. Hey,
Thank
everybody.
you, thank
Welcome.
you. Welcome, everybody. It is a big lot going on this Sunday. But we are going to roll along with the show. We might start our afterburn a little bit early today. But we will give you a full show, folks. A full show. Welcome, everybody. Vegan Metro made it back in the house. Welcome back for the 420 startup. 420 Fred is here, speaking of Cannabis Sativa. Seeing you in a couple chats this week as well. MDN Niles is in the house. What's up? And Mick88 is back. Welcome back, Mick88. Small Tubes is here. Brian Arbor jumped in earlier, said he'd be back, so he'll probably be joining us. Laura P is in the house. Anybody I missed? Chela, everybody here and accounted for?
Vegan Metro?
I said Vegan Metro.
Sorry, buddy.
It's all right. About 8 times. No, he's in there chat about 8 times.
Hey, everybody. It's nice to have you all.
Nice to have you all. What are we smoking? We have some nice Humboldt Farms from our regulated cannabis industry here in California.
Yeah. Oh, don't get us wrong. Frackenlooper is a total corporate tool.
Oh, complete.
We don't like him.
Oh, we're going to get into it. Don't worry. We're going to get into it. As we get into while we get into some of this, you can tell this is legal California cannabis because it's in focus. Here, I'll give you an example.
If it were out of focus.
You see how that's in focus? That tells you that it's legal, regulated cannabis.
Right.
This, however, obviously isn't because it's it's going into focus. No. Oh, shoot. There goes my display.
Right, that started out of focus.
That's what apparently the state of California thinks.
That's how you can tell the difference.
Yeah, their billboards. I find it in all of the great, amazing cannabis photography that goes on here in California. And they use an entirely out of focus weed campaign.
You know, this week somebody accused me of being pro cannabis goes corporate.
Cannabis?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Obviously, this person doesn't know me very well.
We don't know you very well.
Clearly. But God bless them.
But so
we're all in this together, y'all.
We're enjoying some of that at Humboldt Farms. Makes a nice product. It's all you can ask for. You can ask for sun grown California. You can ask for certain appellations if you want your hey, do you have anything grown in Humboldt area or Mendocino area
or indoor in Los Angeles?
Exactly. and now it turns out there's a research going on now in Israel that we just learned about, thanks to and Zelda doing some amazing work over there, by the way, at Green Flower Media, and also stepping up to debunk much of the information or the propaganda about liver damage and CBD, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But apparently, this research is looking at different chemovars, which is the profile, the cannabinoid and terpene profile of plants, and they find that your profile can vary drastically on the same plant from flower to flower, from bud to bud, which just adds a whole nother level of complexity to the full spectrum beauty of the plants.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's going to really confound Big Pharma. I think part of the reason why they're so upset about this onboarding of the plant is that it makes us think about other plants and then ask our doctors about plants and food and stuff, and they have absolutely no education in that department.
A plant awakening in the we're slowly creeping in. We're slowly, like Bernie is slowly creeping into the nomination. Slow and steady wins the race. I gotta say, everybody's a lot of hubbub about Bernie being it's the same stuff. Yeah, of course it's the same stuff. It's been the same stuff for 40 years. Anyway, I digress. So we are smoking some Humboldt Farms. We've got some other stuff we're enjoying as well. So what are you guys smoking? And where are you watching? We are, of course, multi-streaming over YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, DLive, and Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network. So wherever you are, Chris Archimede on Facebook. Wow, Facebook got their streaming chat capability up and running again. That's awesome. It just popped up. A chat
cool.
on Restream. You can't see now. They fixed it, and there's Saley Peppas. So many plants are medicinal. I can see my Facebook chats. How you don't understand how satisfying this is right now.
Oh, baby, I'm so glad. This is so awesome.
Restream has been trying to work out the chat with Facebook for a while now.
Wow, I forget about Facebook all the time.
I know. Well, hey, people watching on Facebook, thanks for jumping in. Sally and Chris.
Wow.
Over there, thanks for jumping in and chatting.
Cool.
And share the stream. Share wherever you're watching on. What page are you watching on? I just shared it a couple times. I shared it on your page.
Oh.
And
Coach
a couple
Chela?
other folks on Coach Chela.
All right.
But we don't start the Facebook stream early because we have music we play in the green room on YouTube,
and they get mad.
Facebook mutes it. So I don't want our opening to be delayed, so I keep Facebook turned off until the very last second I turn it on to start streaming. So welcome, Sally Pappas and Chris Archimede over there on Facebook. As I relight my apparently too tightly joint.
You can loosen it up some. Thank you for twisting them,
Sally
babe.
Pappas in Connecticut.
Vegan Metro is saying, Sally and Chris,
troubles.
Come over to YouTube with us all.
Yeah, come on over to YouTube if you want. Although that's where
cool.
We know it's cool. We love you over on Facebook. If you guys want to chat over on Facebook, we'll engage with you. I can see your chat now on Restream.
Yay,
That's what's really cool.
I'm so glad.
And it'll come up down below. We do most of our engaging over there on the YouTube. So, but I will call out any like Dabba Cannabis 420 over there on DLive. So a couple of folks over there on Periscope too. So welcome you guys, whatever you're watching on. This is Reefer Revolution Live. We do this show every Sunday at 4:20. We have to sneak out to an event pretty close to 5:20. So
in our yard.
So we might take a little musical
a surprise party for the husband.
Right. Shh. He's probably not watching. He never watches.
He doesn't watch, but that's okay.
Yeah. But
he's a good friend. We love him, so we're going to go visit.
And the surprise is right at
5:30.
At 5:30.
Yeah.
So we're going to step out for that and start the afterburn early. But
if
Sally,
anybody wishes, I'm sorry.
yes.
I'd like to add, if anybody wishes to moderate while we're out at this party, do let us know.
Yes, we'll throw that. Not with our 40 viewers, we get many trolls in our
Yes,
in
but
our
like
live.
last week, we could have used. If I wasn't here, I would have liked somebody else to moderate.
Not like the
crazy
debate, the live debate over at Convo Couch. Man, they were getting trolled.
No, that
like
was
crazy.
crazy.
They had like 4,000 people watching.
That's awesome, but it's too bad that there wasn't anybody in the moderation chair.
So Sally Pappas, we're smoking some Humboldt Farms hybrid blue Skittles, blue Skittles. Also, some 5-2 Harlequin Tsunami, which is a nice 1-to-1 blend, 1-to-1 ratio CBD to THC, which is often really nice. If you folks haven't tried a nice CBD blend, I highly recommend it. Higher CBD content flower. They're really good coming up. So Coolio, Sally over there on Facebook. Yeah, they closed down. Yes. Well, there is a story this week in the Cannabis Chronicle. Funny you should bring that up, Sally.
Excellent timing, Sally.
Excellent timing, Sally, because this show is all about cannabis news. Our first hour, we get into the cannabis news and the cannabis news that we follow, and you can follow it along with us over at dc420la.com. That's us, a Cannabis Chronicle. We put out one newsletter every week if you want to sign up for it on Sundays or Saturday evenings, and you can read it on Sunday morning. But this is where we collect all of our news stories during the week. And then we put them out in one chronicle to peruse during the show and the prevailing week after that. And we rank these on how our folks over there on Twitter like the stories that I find all week. I share them over on my Twitter at DC420LA all during the week, and you can engage with me over there. And you'll see the stories early over there, and the folks will say, when it's a good story, and that's where I'll throw it up on the top of the Chronicle, and we'll talk about it at DC420LA. Also over on Instagram, we have presences on all the socials, actually, at Reefer Rev Show, at DC420LA, and at Al's Notes, where Chela does her a lot of her Alzheimer's caregivers for people living with dementia, her tweeting and Instagramming, and more to come on that. And of course, you are watching over there on Facebook, on something over there. I thought I was live on my channel. I think I am. What channel am I live on over there, Sally? Oh, there it is. I had to refresh.
At Hemp Saves the World.
There it is. Hemp Saves the World, which is at Reefer Rev Show over there on Facebook. So thank you for joining on wherever you're joining. And that's what we talk about, the news. Let's get into it. The hottest story of the week, certainly the most popular story of the week over there on the Twitter, was the Hill's coverage of the massive political wind shifting in favor of marijuana legalization. As usual, the Hill far behind the news. What's going on in the country? Yes, the states are moving forward. And so is the Cannabis Caucus, folks. The Cannabis Caucus is working big time. They're working hard and fast. Earl Blumenauer has got his running shoes, and along with all the other members of the largest Cannabis Caucus in U.S. history, moving those bills, moving those amendments. Of course, you saw the SBA, Small Business Administration, hearings last week or 2 weeks ago. And they came out with a bunch of recommendations for moving legislation forward. And Blumenauer, not to be, outdone by last week's incredible movement in the House, because basically we saw moving through the House added into the budget an amendment that it's the strongest protection of states' cannabis laws yet. Because it not only protects medical, if you've passed a medical law, but they also protect recreational laws, as well as it goes a bit deeper. It doesn't really get into social justice, but I do believe it takes it off the Controlled Substances Act as well. And also, not only did that amendment get passed, Blumenauer is just he's not stopping. He introduced a bill. This coming from Marijuana Moment. A lot of my news comes from Marijuana Moment. It's a great source. Kyle writing here. They're getting a lot more writers over there. Marijuana Moment. Tom Angel, of course, the founder. But Kyle writing, congressional bill would allow marijuana imports and exports between legal states. States would be able to legally import and export under a bill introduced by Senator Ron Wyden and Representative Earl Blumenauer on Thursday. That's the big Cannabis Caucus right there. But those guys, both from Oregon, senator and representative. Novel legislation would also codify a policy prohibiting the Justice Department from interfering with state legal cannabis activities. would let states that have legalized marijuana enter into affirmative agreements to engage in interstate transportation. Now, they had already passed that bill in Oregon, saying that, yep, we're going to do that as soon as it becomes federally legal, and or at least unrestricted federally. And looks like that's what's being pushed for by those two Oregon representatives, Senator and Representative Blumenauer and Wyden, moving that bill forward. What else going on up there? Oh, well, Mitch, if nothing else, Mitch knows a good deal when he sees one. And apparently he's becoming a little more exposed to the potential of CBD. And of course, I'm sure the dangers of CBD. The dangers of the most innocuous part of the plant. Well, I wouldn't maybe say that. I'm sure there's many more innocuous parts, cannabinoids, even more so. It's all innocuous. Never killed anybody. Never really hurt anybody. And probably the only thing that they've been grasping onto is it doesn't have anything to do with cannabis at all. It's probably the neem oil that people are using to try to prevent pests.
That is what they're saying.
That is what they're saying, yes.
That is what they're saying.
So,
also, I do want to make a little point of order.
Please.
That there are no studies that indicate that smoking cannabis is harmful to the human lungs. In fact, Dave, didn't you recently come across a study that said that was more specific? Can you recall what that one is? Or
I couldn't call up the details, but you're talking about the older one.
The three groups of people where it was smokers of tobacco.
Oh.
Smokers of tobacco and cannabis.
Right.
Non-smokers and cannabis users.
Cannabis-only users, right.
And the people who had the best lung capacity, the healthiest lungs, were not the non-smokers, but the people who smoked cannabis.
Yeah, cannabis-only smokers had a larger lung capacity than non-smokers.
Right.
In the study.
So
we'll find that study and drop it.
Everybody has to figure out their best delivery system.
Well, it is. We also found out recently it is allows most bioavailability of the medicines through inhalation.
Yes.
Like up to over 50% as opposed to ingestion or even drops or any form.
Yeah.
It's by far the most...
you get the most benefit from the components through inhalation.
Most bang for your buck.
So,
and they are developing inhalers. There's an inhaler coming out on the market.
Sure. Yes. Do I think that we could do better than smoking? Mm-hmm. Sure. But I enjoy smoking, and I find it a social thing, and I'm doing it here with you guys on Sunday. But also, there are no studies that show that it's bad for me. And I seem to do fine with it. But if you don't do fine with it, if you feel like it hurts your lungs, by all means, don't use it that way. Use it the way that feels best for you. And,
totally.
Part of the reason that we smoke on camera is because we want to show, say, people who are new to cannabis that it's entirely possible for some people to smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke and still function pretty much the same way that I functioned before. I'm not a great typist to begin with, so when I make typos and stuff here in the chat, it's not really different than
disclaimer.
Normal.
My spelling has nothing to do with cannabis. I am a product of the Los Angeles school system and an English major, so I obviously cannot spell. But that aside, Sally Pappas engaging over on Facebook. Go ahead.
I've also been smoking cannabis for 27 years.
Oh, really? You only started a year before you met me?
Regularly.
That's right, because you had your you didn't smoke. That was a different bet.
I smoked regularly. Okay. I started smoking regularly at 21. I'm 48 now. So I smoke regularly. I have beautiful, perfect lungs. I may cough because I eat a lot of wheat sometimes. But I know what it's from, and I know that when I don't eat wheat, I don't cough. So sugar too. Sugar has an effect on me.
So Sally Papa's a lot of stories this week in the Chronicle about CBD. The first
Phil
one being
Britton. Sorry.
Okay, awesome, Phil. Welcome, Phil. Pirate Radio, 200 watts of power. Cortez, Colorado, 2 square miles. Broadcasting Reefer Revolution Live. Welcome, Phil. OG, one of the OG 420. You can also be it's honorably in, Phil, wherever you are in your motorhome, but Cortez, Colorado. You can be a member of the OG 420 patrons at the Patreon link at the top of the channel there. I will drop it in the chat if you're so inclined. If not, just share the channel or wherever you're at. Share the channel, share the information. We love doing it. We've been doing it for 2 years, and we have a very intimate and dedicated group on Sundays. And we want to invite more. We want to invite more people to share this information. Phil Britton has said that this is the best cannabis news program on the web.
Yeah.
So
according to Phil Britton,
we're
Britton, aces, and I love it. Thank you,
right.
Phil. You're
Thank you, Phil,
and
welcome, Sally Pappas. I am not ignoring you. I want to tell you some things. She's on Facebook. I'm just so excited. I'm getting Facebook chats here. Having trouble launching her CBD store because of Facebook's issues or Connecticut's issues, because Facebook has issues, and we're going to talk about that in the news this week. And let's move these bills. Connecticut needs a wake up, or we're all moving out. Well, don't give up. Connecticut, do not dismay. Even though Connecticut is dragging its feet with its legalization, the federal government may be stepping in before you know it, because not only was Mitch McConnell meeting with the FDA to talk about CBD and regulation of it, because of his hemp movement, obviously. We have to tell you now that he's done hemp. It's like, now we've got this hemp byproduct. We better move this stuff forward. And the main upshot of this article, Kyle Yeager again writing, is that if Congress doesn't act on this CBD issue, it may take several years for the FDA to get it done. You hear that? And that means not 3. That's probably more like 6. FDA. So if the Congress does not act, the FDA chief is telling Mitch McConnell it's going to take a little more time than you might want for all those CBD companies that are starting up, that are doing business, that are getting shut down, that are not getting shut down. Grannies getting arrested in Disney World and at airports carrying around their bottle of CBD. You can't sell it on Amazon unless it's called hemp oil extract. You don't put CBD anywhere. And how do we know this? Well, guess what? Just so happens our good friend over there at Facebook now letting us put our chats on our Reefer Revolution show. Not only have they never allowed us or any cannabis content to be boosted. They say, come on, you can boost this post. You can boost this post. Come on. Oh, wait a minute. No, you can't boost that post.
Oh, not that one.
Oh, not that one.
We meant.
And even the ones that we even tried to start a new channel. Without
purely educational,
without any of this dangerous stuff here.
None of the dangerous smoking.
Smoking our reefer.
Nope, none of that.
None of that.
They won't let. I think they've completely disabled me, but they let you do some things sometimes
on EdCan. Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't let me do it at all.
The Educational Community Access Network, our second sister channel, the straight arm.
The straight channel.
The straight channel to Reefer Revolution. But looks like Facebook has had a shadow banning of CBD for a while now. It says, as CBD booms, this is The Verge, an article in The Verge this week in the Chronicle. As CBD booms, Facebook is quietly cracking down on ads. The social media giant doesn't let you promote posts featuring CBD. And now there's a lawsuit. So, let me just scan this a little bit, and I'll find about the details of this lawsuit a little bit. But this is something that CBD companies are it's one thing after another. So we've been waiting for some company to start to do a lawsuit. So whatever company this is, I'll find out. Maybe during the afterburn, and we'll put some information up. But because I didn't get really a chance to dig into this article, there's so much news every week. But we know certainly Facebook's efforts to keep cannabis education as well as any material. I mean, it's it's not selling products. It's just they're terrified of it. And now CBD. You can't, Amazon, of course, if it says any word on it, you're not going to be able to sell it. If CBD is anywhere in the material. Some stores that successfully sell oils online don't use the word CBD or cannabidiol in any of it. Sorry, Chela, you were on camera for that. But no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Just it was not your normal routine on camera. So I switched over. You got to take care of stuff. We're cooking Chela. What's you're on camera now because you're in the kitchen. Oh, look, Chela's actually in the same space I'm in. That's interesting. Chela's cooking a roasted cauliflower in the oven for the party we're going to. Looking good. Bring it in. Ooh, sizzling. Up higher. There you go. Look at that. A sizzling roasted cauliflower. Nice. Smothered in vegetables, right? For the browning ability. No CBD or cannabis on that because we're going to a straight party. Yeah. So I digressed. But, so there you go. Facebook has had a CBD problem for years, and it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get better anywhere in the social media unless there's some action taken in Congress. So hopefully Mitch McConnell will not put the kibosh. Mitch has got there's a couple of things we're worrying about Mitch. Is we have all of this movement, all of this amazing action in the House. These amendments are making it through despite the VA's efforts. But they're going to work that out. I'm confident Blumenauer is going to work that out to make sure that the VA protects its doctors who want to get cannabis to veterans. And they're going to work that out, and they're going to get those through. But then it's got to get through the Senate. So
Veterans.
Well, yeah.
Stop taking away their benefits if they want to work at a cannabis company.
Well,
or use cannabis medicine.
And doctors to be affected by it, which is basically what the VA threw up at a Hail Mary at the last second saying, wait a minute, our doctors are at risk. So I don't know why they hadn't worked that out prior, but they will, and it'll get through, most likely, and then it gets to the Senate. And some of this stuff made it through. The VA stuff made it through the Senate last time, the veteran stuff, but then it got taken out in committee at the very last minute. So we will see. Thank you, Sally. Have a great Sunday yourself. Thank you for joining. Mitch needs to act. Hopefully they will act in the right way for CBD and not really make it a hindrance. But basically they need to do something about something right away, because the horse has left the barn on CBD more so than anything else, because the 2018 Farm Bill basically created chaos and pandemonium. 2014, early on, the early adopters, those guys were, right there ready to go. But now everybody's in the game. And with the isolation process, the isolates and these non-flower CBD, getting CBD from yeast, are coming up with all kinds of ways to make more CBD. He used to say it was snake oil that didn't have cannabis in it. That's where snake oil comes from. I've learned recently. That's pretty great, right? Yeah, that it was snake oil if it didn't have cannabis in it. Yep. And but now we do have a lot of we've got stuff. So here's that argument about CBD. There was Tara Lee was live earlier today, and there's a lot of discussion. There was going to be a discussion about hemp and CBD, and Aunt Zelda has a video with Green Flower Media out. There's a couple of new Green Flower Media, great source of information, guys. If you don't watch the Green Flower Media videos, you should. They are a great educational source. And Mara has an amazing short video on dosing, and talking about, and she emphasizes full flower cannabis as the medicinal source of both CBD and THC. Now, of course, THC you can only get from cannabis, full spectrum, high THC cannabis. And then there's the hemp delineation, which of course we all know is merely a number made up by the U.S. government, pulled out of thin air because of the industrial side of growing hemp and the forces behind that. And but it was purely arbitrary. 0.3 is purely an arbitrary number. Like in Europe, it's 0.5. Their cannabis light is 0.5 THC. That is going crazy in Italy. We got a story in the Afterburn about that the government is stepping in Italy, trying to stop its hemp industrial or medicinal hemp production of 0.5% THC. The thing is, you have the cannabis cannabis plant with full THC. You have the industrial hemp of 0.3, where people grow for fodder, fiber, fuel, food, seeds,
Hey, Brian Arbor's job in Connecticut is now growing hemp.
Woohoo!
That's exciting, Brian.
Oh, hear that, Sally? Brian Arbor in Connecticut over there.
That's fun.
That's awesome. Growing hemp. Good hemp. And I'll bet that hemp, Brian, is not that crappy industrial stuff that's a bioaccumulator that China's been growing and Eastern Europe's been growing for years. And we've been bringing in, but good, icky, sticky, medicinal hemp. Strains like AC/DC and Haley's Hope and Charlotte's
Harlequin
Web.
Tsunami.
Harlequin Sue's a 1-to-1.
That's a 1-to-1.
Yeah, I'm talking
Oh, really low.
really low.
I still think 1-to-1 is a great thing because so many older people do so well with it. So
Right.
that's exciting.
Well, yeah, I mean, the CBD dominant or CBD higher strains are coming up.
I hate to say it, but I really want to put a couple dollars together to invest a little bit in GW Pharmaceuticals. Because they have Sativex, and Sativex is being tested on people living with Alzheimer's disease at the end of the year, and I know it's going to do great. And then they're going to bring it here as the medicine for treating Alzheimer's disease.
Well, they'll be pushing it through. That's their trial, and they do have the money to push it through the FDA process.
They do.
They are actively lobbying against this bill or this amendment that was just passed in Congress, in the House, to leave the states alone, have the federal government, the DOJ, the DEA, leave the states alone with regards to state cannabis laws. And their argument, GW Pharmaceuticals, or the company that actually makes the product for them, is arguing that this law goes too far and would stop the DOJ from helping the FDA from prosecuting or stopping CBD products. Because they're saying, oh, well, this is too broad. You're not just going after medical cannabis. You're not just allowing, you're not just stopping that. You're stopping the DOJ from protecting or from helping the FDA, who has control of CBD from hemp. So you can't do that with this bill. So that's why they're trying to stop it. These guys are big pharma that have found a way to isolate a CBD molecule from the plant, and then put some other stuff in it. Or the process that they use leaves some other residual stuff in it that's not necessarily seen. And there's been a lot of talk about this new study, allegedly, that came out. Well, this study did come out, but it's saying that there's liver damage that's possible in the high doses of cannabidiol
For 20 milligrams every kilogram.
Yeah, even higher,
which is a shit ton of CBD.
Well, exactly.
I'm not great with math, but it's a lot.
But over at this week over at Aunt Zelda's, Mara has decided to tell the truth about CBD and liver damage and try to debunk some of this stuff that's been recently talked about in Forbes magazine this week, and picked up this study in this journal called Molecules, is where the original study is. And I'll read from this article at Aunt Zelda's. A study and associated article on the dangers of CBD for the liver was recently released. After significant review, we have identified major problems with the study itself in the journal Molecules and the reporting in Forbes, needlessly creating fear about a tremendously safe compound. And below is our analysis. So I encourage you to drop by the Chronicle and click on the link, Truth About CBD and Liver Damage. And this just came out yesterday. And it's going to talk about their dosing, the doses they're talking about, and how even in the I believe the article or in the research itself in Molecules says these aren't reasonable doses that anyone would use in a real life situation, and even in this most dramatic circumstances. So there's a lot of flaws and a lot of problems with this latest propaganda that CBD is bad for the liver. And now we're not big fans of isolates in general. We think other shit needs to be in there from the plant that's going to help things along and temper down other problems. THC helps protects the liver. It protects the liver in transplant patients. Therefore, they found that. So there's science to back all of this up. Mara Golden is one of the best sources of this because she's been researching this for her company for a long time. And if you saw Weed the People.
6 years, I think she said today.
Yeah. So great stuff, great information in that article. Please check it out.
Mara is a process engineer. So she's very super technical and has reduced things down to very specific dosage and onboarding, and she's very, very knowledgeable and starting to get out there, and I'm very glad because she's great. I love her.
Now, I do want to talk to her about, the difference between hemp CBD, quote, hemp CBD, and cannabis CBD, because I agree that you're not going to get quality in the same CBD levels and quality out of an industrial plant that's being grown in a toxic stew in China or Eastern Europe, and being brought in and having CBD extracted out of that, huge amounts needed, and putting that into a medicine, which I'm sure is being done, or the good stuff that's being grown in Colorado and Kentucky and Oregon and many of these places that are growing full spectrum cannabinoid profile hemp plants with bred to have very low THC. And a lot of it has to do with the time they harvest. They can't let it go too long because the THC will go over the limit. There's all kinds. It's a very
remember, all the different flowers have different makeups.
There's more THC at the top of the plant than there is at the bottom and the middle of the plant. So if you have more sun, you're going to have more THC. So it's a tricky process, but there are these really good medicinal hemp plants that produce quality CBD, organic, grown organically, and that's places that come in the United States from Kentucky. Kentucky was right at is it Kentucky? Yeah, it's Kentucky, right? That was at the top of the game. So that's obviously why Mitch McConnell's involved heavily in it. Also, Oregon and Colorado were early adopters of the 2014 Farm Bill and the provisions under that, which allowed the experimentation through departments of agriculture or universities and the DEA to grow these plants. And they have created very good medicinal hemp plants. Now, you still need THC. Sorry, you do. You just do.
It's just part of the whole entourage that is beneficial for the human body. We have CB1 receptors that are made for THC. I would love to know have more studies if THCA is equally effective. And hey, does anybody know the answer? Does THCA show up as THC in a drug test? Anybody know that?
I would, I don't know what exactly they're testing for those, but THCA is gone for the most part after decarbing, right? So I don't know if they're actually. I think they're looking for Delta 9. I think they're looking for Delta 9 in the tests, but I could be wrong about that. Never had the pleasure of having to deal with that. So check that article about CBD and the myth of liver damage that's been floating around the media. What else is going on this week in the states? Guys, the states are a lot of good things happening. Not so bad. Some bad things, some good things. For cannabis, mostly good things. And Illinois apparently is doing it right. The new law, effective January 1st, nearly 800,000 can clear records for pot possession.
Isn't that great?
This from the Daily Herald.
CJ Apo. We're
Hello,
talking about
CJ.
your state, buddy.
Convenient timing, my friend.
Hi, Jilly Love.
And Julie Love in the house talking about Illinois. Is it 6 plants in Illinois?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, 6 big ones. 6 big ones, CJ. That's what we try to do out here in California. We have the space for 6 big ones, but
we don't really have compliance. We don't have permission for 6 big ones.
We're part of that.
We'll get there.
If you look at lack of commercial acceptance in localities in California, the ability for people to smoke in rental, grow in rental place properties, or even just in within the vision of your neighbor, I'd say we're still over 80% of the state. It really doesn't have access or ability to have legal cannabis. You can't really just grow 6 plants in your yard in California. You can't do it. It can't be done unless you got property, unless you got an acre where nobody can see it from your neighbors. If you're in a town, if you're in a city, certainly if you're in a city, and then commercial activity is, verboten in about 65% of the communities. Some are changing, some are adding, but Illinois seems to have taken some of the good parts of legalization, have added it into their law, which is signed. For decades, reading from the article, for decades, getting caught with a small amount of marijuana could put Illinois residents in jail for up to 6 months, and perhaps worse. The criminal record would follow them for the rest of their lives. Pritzner's signature this week on a law legalizing recreational cannabis includes a provision for nearly 800,000 people to clear their records. Lawmakers who drafted the measure legalizing marijuana emphasize repairing what they say is damage done by the war on drugs. They say particularly affected minorities who are likely to be arrested and prosecuted for marijuana offenses. Expungement of criminal records is a key part of that. Expungement is a key part of any legalization bill. If your legalization bill that's going through your state does not include expungement, it's not a legalization bill. And home grow. If it doesn't have home grow in it, it's not really a legalization bill either. Because if you can't grow your own, it's not legal. If you have to buy it in a shop and pay taxes, it's not legal. So those are 2 things for sure that we say. So expungement, New York, last week, New York did not make it through with their legalization law, but they pushed through an expungement provision that did go through and is waiting for signatures. So probably 700,000 folks in New York. And there's a story with a couple of stories about that. One story in that in the afterburns. Stay tuned for that. Where we hotbox the mainstream media. We're doing that during the party. But Illinois looks like they might have, at least this is currently the best recreational law on the books because of its addressing social equity and social justice program, as well as trying to get helping out folks who have been affected get into the business. So CJ, we will look forward to hearing on how that all transpires out there in the great state of Illinois. And we knew it was coming, buddy. You've been watching the show for a year. I think one of the very first questions you ever asked in the chat was, when is Illinois going to get legal? And we said soon. Here we are. We said soon. And here we are. So congratulations, January 1st next year. Looks like you're going to be able to walk into a shop because the licenses are coming. And they have to be, I think they have to be popped out by the end of December. John Davis joining over there on Periscope. Welcome. Thanks for joining in, guys. This is Reefer Revolution Live, the show where we spark up Time for a new one. Talk about marijuana in the mainstream media, the politics of pot and cannabis cures. And talking about canniversaries, happy canniversary, Oklahoma. Where's the story? Oh, there it is. Happy canniversary, Oklahoma.
Seriously,
1 year.
Oklahoma's amazing, you guys.
We're talking about good recreational laws.
I aspire to their awesomeness.
This is a good medical marijuana law. If your state is looking to do a medical marijuana law, look to Oklahoma because they got a good one. And it's been 1 year. Congratulations. SQ 788 passed by about 65%. It just hit the ground running, folks. They're talking, they are basically adding patients and dispensaries at about 10 times as fast as the state of California did.
How are we letting other states like Oklahoma eclipse our cannabis title? Steal our cannabis title. I don't understand. I should write a nice note to Governor Brown. Dear Governor Brown, how are you letting Oklahoma?
We have to put, we have to put compassion back into cannabis in California.
Yeah.
There are states that are actually passing laws that don't tax patients. That's actually happening. So I don't know why we can't do it here where cannabis really came out of compassion and now we're making access. Part of the access is that 80% availability or 60, depending on who you talk to, 65, 77% of the communities in California aren't on board legal cannabis. They don't allow any commercial activity. So people have to go outside of their community to get their cannabis, even if it's medicinal, or have it delivered by a statewide distribution or delivery company that is allowed because they tried to ban delivery into these localities. And now we're trying to pass a law. I think we did pass a law, didn't we? That allows delivery into these communities.
But they're suing to make it not a law.
They're suing to stop the law because we did pass a law that said, no, you can't ban it if someone in your community wants it. It's legal in the state. You should be able to have it delivered. So we passed a law and they said, no, we're going to sue you. So more illegal now that it's illegal in many respects. For instance, in Michigan, Brando was talking about how this music festival in legal Michigan now is officially coming out and saying, no, there's no smoking cannabis at this music festival.
Insane.
What was it? The something lights?
Electric Forest.
Electric Forest.
It looks really good. I'd always wanted to go. However, not if cannabis is banned.
Well,
officially.
it's never been legal to smoke cannabis at Coachella, but they officially made it banned at
a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. I
don't know if they kept it banned, but it might still be banned.
Something passed that herpes around all over Coachella. I don't know what it was.
It's probably sex.
That too. It wasn't just the joints, I guess.
Yeah. Although I do look around the room when I'm sharing joints with strangers to see, hey, did you go to Coachella?
Did you go to Coachella? Did you go to Coachella? Okay, here you go. No, you did? Okay, you keep that one. I got another one. Thanks.
I got another one.
Did you enjoy it? Great.
Oh, that's awesome. Always wanted to go.
Always wanted to go. Thanks. Meanwhile, lo and behold, as we stay in the States, Idaho, Radical Russ getting in the game, going to make Idaho a medical marijuana state. Idaho?
Isn't that awesome?
Bid for medical marijuana ballot initiative launched in Idaho. A.J. Harrington writing in High Times. Activists for medical cannabis in Idaho have started their efforts to get the matter on the ballot. Look to Oklahoma. Look to Oklahoma, Idaho. Things are booming down there. Talk about another oil boom in Oklahoma. The oil rush. But potatoes in Idaho would be a great thing. You just corner the cannabis infused potato chip market and you'd kill two birds with one stone. You get high eating the potato chips and then you eat more potato chips because you got high.
Potato chips are so bad for you.
Potatoes.
Your potatoes are bad for you.
At least, I'm sorry, medical potatoes.
No, that's especially bad. No, potatoes are bad for people who are not well.
So good on you, Idaho. Let's support them, and we'll watch their efforts. Will they be the next surprise state to pop?
That would be amazing.
With an amazing
Idaho.
medical cannabis law? Wow, they need I think they need 60,000 signatures.
54,000 by April.
So if you know anybody in Idaho, please let them know to support this movement.
Oh, I do know someone in Idaho whose two parents have Alzheimer's disease.
Oh, interesting.
Or another form of dementia. And I should send that note to her, that article to her, and let her know to tell her family to sign that.
Indeed. Skipped over this national story. I literally couldn't get past the first 20 minutes of the first debate because there was like the third softball question to Warren, and I was like, what time is it? It's like only 20 minutes in, and she's already got three softball questions. So I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And then I did watch, after we got back, we watched the second debate. Hey, Tom, over there on Periscope, welcome. Cory Booker put it nicely this week that he was disappointed that cannabis did not come up in his debate. And the only time it did come up in both nights, being probably one of the top issues of this cycle, this election, certainly for us, needless to say. But really, others in the media have said that cannabis is definitely an issue that that's why everybody on that stage has taken a position on it, including Frackenlooper. Named such because he's a big fan of fracking oil in Colorado. But Hickenlooper literally stood up there and said, well, I guess he was honest. You know what? Here, let's play what he said. Let's play. This is John Hickenlooper with his closing statement. And it was literally the only thing that was brought up about cannabis.
If you manage a team,
No, we're not going to listen to your commercial. Sorry.
Candidate will have a...
Oh, shoot. Oh, here we go.
Owner who brought that same...
Would have expected.
I'm a small business owner who brought that same scrappy spirit to make Colorado one of the most progressive states in America. We expanded reproductive health to reduce teenage abortion by 64%. We were the first state to legalize marijuana, and we transformed our justice system in the process. We passed universal background checks in a purple state. We got to near universal health care coverage. We attacked climate change with the toughest methane regulations in the country, and for the last 3 years, we've been the #1 economy in America. You don't need big government to do big things. I know that because I'm the one person up here who's actually done the big progressive things everyone else is talking about. If we turn towards socialism, we run the risk of helping to reelect the worst president in American history.
Thank you, Governor.
All right, so much garbage on so many levels in just that short statement in that short period. Not the least of which is he is essentially taking credit for the progressive move of legalizing cannabis in his great progressive state.
Purple state.
Bullshit. He changed his. I think he changed his mind 3 days before the debate.
And he vetoed autism as a qualifying condition.
I forgot that.
You silly man. Do not forget.
I forgot that. That's even... he vetoed autism on the list of tyranny. Wow. Now I think he name dropped cannabis one time before, and but essentially, look, Governor, you fought legalization in Colorado the entire way. You threatened to recriminalize cannabis when allegedly crime was going up in your state. You told CNN, I'm just gonna recriminalize it. You vetoed autism when the bill passed on the list. So this, as John Boehner is now all in on cannabis, obviously Hickenlooper is trying to get on to the next stage, because that's what came out of this was that, hey, Hickenlooper pot. Hickenlooper pot. Hickenlooper pot. Hickenlooper pot. No, Hickenlooper not pot.
No, Hickenlooper not pot. It's like Kamala Harris. Hickenlooper fracking.
Kamala Harris, not racist. Kamala Harris, very progressive. No. No. Kamala Harris, not progressive.
And puts their parents in jail if their kids don't go to school. No, not progressive.
I'm for abolishing private insurance. No, I'm not for private. No, it's just because they said it on a debate stage doesn't mean it's true.
Nope. Do your homework before your primary.
That's the one thing. The one thing about Bernie, and the complaint apparently is he says the same thing as he said in 2016. Exactly.
And the same thing he said for the last 30 years.
Exactly.
He said the same stuff.
Listen, if we're going to talk cannabis, there was nobody on that stage that night. I'm trying to go through the list.
I got to stand up.
You got to stand up. Okay.
It's 5:16. I gotta go.
We have to. We're gonna wrap up the first hour here.
Yes.
To go do our surprise.
Yeah, I'm gonna go wrap up my cauliflower. So thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Chela, get in the kitchen. Get in the kitchen and get that cauliflower going. You're off. Now you're off. Okay. So, Hickenlooper was not pro-cannabis. Do not give him credit for the legalization of cannabis in Colorado. If you were even thinking about that now, I don't expect him to be. I don't expect him to be in the next debate. That's hopeful. Certainly not the one after that. Apparently, there are a number of people who have already made the second debate that I'm happy about. But the Hickenlooper, I don't know if he's made it yet. And if he hasn't, I don't think he's going to. So we won't have to hear that nonsense. And maybe the next debate we'll hear cannabis actually being discussed in a reasonable manner and brought up as and not just. Anyway, I doubt it. I really doubt it. Moving on. Hi, Ellen Blasey from Poughkeepsie, New York. Vegan Metro, are you going to hang out for the afterburn? I'll make you a moderator. We're going to have to step out here in a few minutes to go to a surprise birthday party. But we're going to start the afterburn, which of course is the hotboxing of marijuana in the mainstream media. But we'll get into that in just a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure, see if there's any other stories that I wanted to touch on. There was this congressman asked Trump to commute sentences of 16,000 drug war prisoners. That was a pretty startling story. Are they in North Korea? Because apparently that's where he was this morning for about 2 minutes. But Steve Cohen, representative of Tennessee, has sent a letter to Donald Trump on Wednesday asking him to commute the sentences of about 16,000 nonviolent drug offenders in federal prison. I'm pretty sure this is referring to very similar to what Cory Booker's initiative was. He said that as soon as he's president, he will release up to 17,000 prisoners because of the Second Chance Act that was signed, I believe signed into the cauliflower into law. So and it hasn't been implemented. So and Cory Booker says he will implement that. Steve Cohen writing a letter saying the president should do that now. Cool, Vegan Metro. Appreciate that. Come show us the brain. I'm going to show Vegan Metro is going to moderate for us, and we want to. Chela's roasted a brain up here. That's lovely. It does look like a brain. It's so hilarious. Oh my God! You know, you throw a little for Halloween. That'd be a pretty cool thing to throw a little throw a little food coloring in there. Bonnie Lee invited 124 people over there on Periscope. Thanks, Bonnie Lee. Okay, we are going to, here's what we're going to do, guys. It's 5:19. We have to run upstairs for about, for a little bit. We're going to start the afterburn. So stay tuned. I'm going to shut down, guys, for a second. Vegan Metro, you might have to rejoin. Everybody else, you might have to rejoin once I start the afterburn. But I'm going to get that going now. Thank you guys for watching this week. Sorry we're taking a little of a bridge show, but we got about an hour in talking about the news. And we're going to jump back in later on once we get through a couple of videos. We'll probably jump in close to the end of the afterburn, talk about some of the stories that you guys are going to get to watch. And if you can't stick around for the afterburn, we will see you next week or the next time that we do go live. Make sure you subscribe, get notifications, ring that bell for when we do go live, because we often do it at other times other than Sunday at 4:20. But we do try to do it every day, every Sunday at 4:20. Lots of amazing things coming up. We have new interviews. Fig season. More interviews lined up for the documentary up in Santa Rosa. Good things, great things, better and better things, expanding and getting better and better for all the projects. We don't want to miss a surprise. Okay, I got to get into it. Thank you guys. Switching over to the afterburn. Stay tuned.